Okay. On the Bench, episode 2. My gosh, we made it to the second one.
Thought we'd never make it.
Honestly, same. Honestly, after the absolute debacle that we had setting up the set today with Lockie, spending half the day setting up this set.
We need
Just
a new
passionate.
DOP.
Can anyone tell if it's any different? There's an extra light.
Yep. Looks good.
Really threw a wrench in the works.
Well done.
You got there. It does look good though. It does look good. So today we're going to talk about a couple of topics, with one of them being the emergence of vertical video, whether it's a good thing, a bad thing, and what we think about it. We're also going to talk about some of the projects we've done in the last couple of months and how we've managed those projects. And we're also going to talk about where's the best place to spend your budget if you're looking at doing some film work. I guess we'll start out. Cal, what's your opinion on vertical video?
It's very 50-50. Projects that want both make it very difficult. We just had a couple recently and it was like,
Incredibly difficult.
throw in a bit of horizontal, make sure you're getting all that B-roll in horizontal and vertical, and then you go back and you haven't got enough, or you need to, cut in and crop and...
Especially if you're solo operating and you've got to do it.
Yeah.
It's a pain. You've almost got to set 2 cameras up and
It's
run and gun.
very beneficial to plan ahead with your lens and have your framing guide be perfect, because you want to be able to frame, like if you're doing a wide and you're shooting horizontal, such as that concrete pour I did last week, I wanted to keep everything right in the middle of the frame just so that I could crop in all the way and still have, the subject in the right position.
Yeah, so frame guides or having your reference monitor in vertical when you're shooting horizontal, so you can get both at the same time, because you can use you can just film in 4K and crop in for social. No one's really going to notice the difference. Lockie, what do you think?
It definitely, for me, goes against everything that I kind of learnt and enjoy about cinematography in terms of framing things. My favorite thing is using my thirds lines to find cool shots and things like that, but you just can't when you've got a brief to do vertical. But I also think that if we didn't offer it, someone else would, so we need to keep up with things. So it makes me wonder if we didn't offer it, or if it just wasn't a thing, would we get as much business? Because it seems like some work we've gotten, there's more emphasis on their socials than other things, because that's where their market is at.
Yeah, we're definitely defined by Instagram being the dominant place for social media platforms, and everybody wants to post on there and promote their business through socials on Instagram. So
Even anything web-based now, it's like you do a piece for a website, and it's basically given that you're expected to provide a vertical version of that cut, because most people are going to be looking on their phone.
But I hope that things catch up with Instagram and stuff, where they have an option where you can just turn your phone on the side and Instagram will actually adapt to that, and you'll be able to watch a video in 16:9 just by turning your phone.
That could be cool.
TikTok started to implement that.
Yeah, things like that, because it's not too far-fetched for them to do it. And their introduction of using Reels and things like that on Instagram, they are bringing in that side of filmmaking and stuff. So it could happen.
Yeah, I think there's benefits of it, and I understand it from a technical point of view. It's just having more thing on screen means you're more likely to view it, because you've got more of the real estate at one time. So it makes sense, but
it's not. I guess it's not a part of that whole scrolling, get as much serotonin out of this person as you can sort of thing that's happening.
yeah, I think it stems from just how much of someone's screen can I take up at once, so that I'm the only thing they're looking at.
Yeah.
So I understand it, but again, it's so limiting. There's so many things you can't do because it's in vertical, and our world isn't built in verticals. We're built in wide landscapes, and it's hard to showcase any of that in vertical. Nice.
Yeah.
It does have its challenges, but it looks like it's here to stay, and it's not going anywhere.
And we do it well too. Our client feedback is pretty good with it. Everything we do, even when we are sometimes even when we're shooting just with the wide angle lenses and not necessarily intending to do vertical, our vertical cuts are still pretty good.
I think the nature of our style here is that we always shoot like nice wides with like good verticals and all of that, so that when we do translate that into vertical video, it's quite easy for us because we already have the real estate in the shot to be able to do it. And like one of the things that we've always done, which is kind of a sin when it comes to film, is having heaps of headroom and heaps of leg room. And we tend to shoot a lot of like that, so it actually helps us when we're trying to do vertical video.
And in terms of our like type of filmmaking that we do here, videography it works best with. I think like if we had to pick somewhere that it shines the most is when we're running around with like our Canons on the gimbal and things like that, as opposed to other jobs where we're trying to film a product or something like that, but they want the same thing in vertical, but we're trying to show something off in a way that's meant to be like it really shows something off, but it's harder to do that when you do vertical. So yeah, videography of events and things like that, it works a lot better with. Yeah.
It's hard to show products because you're trying to showcase the product, and vertical almost looks like you're doing behind the scene.
Yeah,
it's almost like it's small snippets of sections and you're missing part of it. And
it's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, it's not a super polished way of filming. I would say you can hide a lot of things in vertical video. Cool. Flowing onto that, we just did a project where we did 8 locations in 10 hours and across about 150 kilometers of space. It was a pretty big project. All 3 of us were on it. It was a mammoth job, 8 a.m. to 8 a.m., 8 p.m.
Went well.
That was one of my favourite shoots, I think, so far.
I think that if we didn't have as nice a day and it didn't run as smoothly as it did, they could have gone to like either way. If it was a crap day, that would have been a horrendous shoot.
Everyone was happy to be shot, and like, the sun was out the whole time. There wasn't any rain or anything at any point.
The hardest part was the wind on the boat.
Yeah, and the salt spray.
Oh yeah, salt spray on cameras.
Oh guys, it's getting bad.
Yeah,
we're lucky to have some beautiful locations, so it's hard to get a bad shot there.
Yeah. Like the bridge, so good.
Yeah.
Kenmore Estate was beautiful. Yeah.
It's pretty sweet. So, what do you think went well on that day?
I think we were very organised. I think we had a very good call sheet, shot list that he'd prepared, so that was really good.
And and just like we all had our own cameras, we were all doing the same thing. That consistency. Like you got into the groove of using the shoulder rig to get both a little bit of B-roll and that A-roll as well. And then throughout the day, with me on the gimbal, just, again, getting into the groove of it, not having to swap. I wasn't operating 2 cameras.
Yeah.
It was 1 camera for each of us, and we were just nailing it with what we were getting.
Yeah, so the client originally was like, 2 people can do that photo and video. And I was like, not with recording, not with A-roll as well. It was never going to happen.
Wearing too many hats, it's just not good.
Yeah, it's too much. I just said to the client, I was like, we need 3 people. It's only going to cost you like $1,500 more to have a 3rd person there. Like, we just need to do it. And it just made the day so much better. Yeah. And the output's 10 times better.
Yeah, definitely. There's just something about like with the one task over that long period of time that you're just way less fatigued. Yeah. As opposed to when we shot that welding stuff where Cal and I were like operating 2 or 3 cameras, the audio, and it was much like a way shorter day. But in reflection, like I don't know about you, but I was really tired just from having to.
You had the gimbal all day, and then again,
I was fine.
A few days later, it was a big week for you.
I just had some like blistering on my hands, but that was it. Like,
Lockie's
you should have felt my hand.
Lockie's forearms are jacked after that.
Yeah,
muscle man over here.
But yeah, for context, we also did a shoot out at Blue Scope Steel on the Thursday that week, and that was a really interesting experience because we were kind of
enjoyed that too.
Run and gun on the go, following a tour group, trying to actually stay ahead of them and capture content of them enjoying the tour, whilst also kind of trying to get a little bit of a tour ourselves while we were on the job.
Not getting cooked by the blast.
Yeah, so we were standing probably 10 meters away from a blast furnace while it was going and getting shots of that, and it was awesome.
I did get told off for running a little bit. I was like, jogged around the crowd, and one of the guys was like, "Don't run." I was like, "Sorry."
It's a bit of an OHS issue, that one.
But yeah, lugging all that gear around in full PPE was interesting experience.
Got hot.
That's why we have like different styles of camera. We've got our run and gun, lightweight carbon fiber gimbals, lightweight camera that's just as capable as our cinema rigs, but is just easier to lug around when you're doing something like that. Then we also, when we got back to the event, we had our tripoded big event recording cameras ready to go.
Yeah.
And the fact that you guys went to that whilst I set everything up, you guys just walked straight into it and didn't have to worry about setting anything up, and I just hit record and off we went. It was just such a simple day. But it's just like a slightly bigger budget to have an extra person on set, and it just helps.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
much.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a reason why film crews have first, second, and sometimes even third camera assists, I guess, as well as the DOPs.
Yeah. Well, yeah, on some sets, it's like you've got an assistant on either side of the camera, just operating that side of the camera.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, when you're talking millions of dollars, it makes sense to be efficient.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, I guess going under that, the Blue Scope one, that was pretty cool. Working with other photographers too, because it was quite a notable event. So we weren't the only crew there. There's a few crews there, and we had to make sure that we weren't interfering with them and they weren't interfering with us. I think we did a really good job of making sure that everyone outside of our crew was briefed on what had to happen, and that walk under cameras don't get in our shots. I think it went really well.
Most people were respectful of each other. We're all working. We've all got a job to do.
Yeah.
Clear communication. It was good. So I guess flowing onto that and talking about budgets and having people on set and things, where do you think is the best place to spend your budget on a project?
It's interesting because I'm kind of I can change my opinion or perspective of that as we go on, because we get these new projects where things are a little different each time. And it kind of is, my answer is relevant to what we're just talking about, which is personnel. It just makes such a big difference. Like, even if we're taking minimum gear, like, you can get so much more out of the project by putting someone on something.
Yeah, or just having someone there to liaise with the client, so you're not trying to film and manage a client at the same time. That's like one of the most difficult things.
Yeah.
But it's not always feasible to have that extra person.
Yeah, that's right.
So figuring out where you can spend a little bit more and still only have the two operators, and figure out how can we spend a little bit more on it and make sure it all runs smoothly.
Well, yeah, so like if we were filming an event, what would you put the money on?
I mean,
like, let's say it's a multi-location, same subject matter, but multi-location, got multiple people that need to be covered and things like that.
And have one less operator.
Well, let's say in the scenario where it's not personnel, like, where are you putting your budget?
Possibly hiring additional gear. Yeah.
Really?
Maybe.
Extra gear.
Or when
the tool doesn't get the job done, you got to bring in the big boys, eh?
Possibly additional equipment, so you can be a bit more on the go. For example, having like an easy rig kind of set up so that you can run around, and then possibly even having a camera on your shoulder.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Because I did a job at that concrete pour. I basically had the camera on me at all times, and I had the gimbal. And I'll hold the gimbal and then take photos, or I put the gimbal down and get in close. And you got to be flexible. I think Trent and I have also both had the drone in the air while we're taking photos and trying to multitask.
I had it lanyarded around my neck at once. I had the gimbal, the controller sitting here, and I was just watching it whilst I'm still filming. And I had the drone doing an automated path. I was like, oh yeah, it's still in the sky. Yeah, we're good.
Hasn't crashed.
Yeah, it hasn't crashed. So we've only crashed the drone 3 times in the whole time it's existed. It's a pretty good track record considering the amount of hours we've flown. I think that's the thing to pat our backs with.
Worked one of them, previous drone, to basically its bones in terms of batteries and sensor.
Yeah, I think it's had a few hundred hours put through it.
Planning a funeral for that drone.
Bury it in the backyard.
Totally should. And we got that one up there as well.
Oh, the ancient one, yeah.
But back to production. What would you do differently?
Yeah, if it was something like we were doing the other day, additional gear like a big tripod with a fluid head that you're not gonna have any problems with, like getting specific. Those sorts of, if we're shooting at a distance, interviews and people talking, I just think that what would have made it even better would be just a big fat tripod where if you've got to turn the camera really fast, there's enough resistance in that gear. You're just getting a smooth shot no matter what. That's just a specific example going off of kind of hiring additional gear. To me, from my experience, gear and personnel have been just the big make or break things. Is your zipper?
Oh, sorry. Apologies. Yeah, so I guess to make it simple, would that be pre-production, production, or post-production?
Yeah, in terms of budget, production. I think that's because that's like my passion as well, is production.
Your whole role is production.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And then just kind of in pre-production, just like thinking about how good production's going to be.
I think the biggest thing that I find is a lot of people don't value pre-production. Like when we're budgeting up a job and you put like 4 hours in for pre-production, people are like, why are you charging me for that? Like they assume that that's either included or you don't need to do that. And it comes down to, like, if you have pre-production, if you do all the pre-work, it's a lot easier. Like many things in life, get everything ready.
That's saying if you're not planning at all is planning to fail.
Planning to fail.
So relevant.
Like the job that we did all day, like that was only because there was a whole day's worth of planning before it.
Yeah.
That we knew exactly where we had to be. We'd liaise with the client to understand their expectations, and then it flowed in. And the pre-production gave light to, hey, we probably actually need to have a few extra bits of equipment here. So I think pre-production is probably the most valuable, followed by production, and then
making sure it also is done properly. We've had it it happens when clients do the pre-production and then it's not quite what you need, and you get to the side and it's a bit of a
it's interesting.
Yeah, trying to cut corners and they're like, oh, we'll do it, and then you get there and it's like totally different to what they've said.
Yeah,
we've got 2 projects coming up that I see pre-production being really valuable for in 2 ways. One, which is the industry work, which you need to, it's heavy logistics, travel, figuring out how everything's going to work when you don't have the studio nearby. And the other one is to show off a product in a workplace in a way where I would value conceptualizing it far before we start shooting, with frames and angles and things like that I think would work well for them, and being able to show that to the client, and just kind of ticking things off before you even shoot it. The concept for some things, and then other things is just logistics.
Or a site visit. A site visit, if you can do it, is always invaluable.
Yeah, location recce. Yeah.
Or get your client to send you through your photos and videos of the site so you can draw it up. And we utilize Nearmaps quite a bit, which is a satellite, up-to-date satellite imagery of a site, which makes it so much easier to understand what's on site.
And those things, great. Like, it's that knowledge that we kind of learn our lesson on as we go through it too, like with the industrial stuff, the noise and things like that, we just weren't, there was a job where we just weren't able to get a location recce, and, we weren't quite sure if we were shooting inside or outside. The client wasn't even sure. That was just a lesson for everybody, that you need to know, is there going to be some weird buzzing in the background, or are we right next to a highway?
Yeah, and we brought everything for that too.
Yeah.
We'll bring windsocks and dead cats and
we hit the mark with the project because of that.
Yeah, it was only lucky that we just brought everything because we didn't know what we were walking into. Yeah. But it's good to be prepared.
Yeah.
Or have it and not need it, and need it and not have it.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
What's happened recently?
That's funny.
What did you do on Friday? You had a big shoot on Friday.
I had a big shoot on Friday.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What funny thing stressed you out?
Oh, controversial.
When you were leaving the office for Newcastle.
Why did Cal get an angry call?
Oh, don't get me started.
Cal was innocent and had nothing
Friday. I had to go to Newcastle for a production, and all I needed was one little camera as a run and gun rig. And to be able to run and gun with a cinema camera, it's beneficial to have a monitor on it so you can actually see what you're shooting. You don't have to like have it standing up here and looking through the poor monitor that's on the back of the camera. I open my crate thinking I have everything when I get there, and this tiny little monitor mount screw is missing from my box, and I have no idea where it is. So the boys copped it a little bit.
I was gonna gaslight you.
Yeah, bro, it's in there, I swear.
No, yeah, I put it in the bag, and if you're gonna grill us today, I was gonna go over to him and be like, oh, what, and then pull it out.
No, I actually I took that whole crate apart because I'm like, oh, maybe it's like underneath the foam in the Pelican case. No, not there. Anyway,
so what was the solution?
I shot that whole gig looking through the back of that crappy monitor.
Nice.
On an 85mm handheld. It was horrendous.
Can't wait to edit that one.
Lucky we're not editing that one. That's sick. As a pass on to the other client. Anyway, that was, nightmare. But that is all comes down to logistics and making sure that all the equipment's in the box before it leaves the office.
We're developing shot lists. I mean, gear lists.
Gear lists and logistics of every crate. So it's coming.
It's in the works.
Stock take.
Good little learning curve. Yeah, stock take.
Stock take.
End of financial year stock take. Sales by now. God. Fuck you.
Hey, man, I don't know.
Your fault. You had all the fucking plates.
What'd you have? You had one plate, didn't you?
3 plates.
I just had the DJI kit just because I had the gimbal.
Oh, it was in there.
Yeah, you had 3 of them.
No, not that mount.
Hey,
The monitor mount wasn't in it, but the plates.
No, you didn't have the one we're looking for. We had all the others. What else I could have
It
used?
was so funny.
Even if I did have it, I probably wouldn't tell you.
Yeah, we have a problem of tripod mounts disappearing at the moment. Every week a new tripod mount goes disappearing. We're arguing that Lockheed's grip crate is a Pandora's box and everything disappears into that box.
There is a lot of this lost within the screws. It's just underneath all the screws and stuff that's in there.
Just disappears into it.
He's probably got it on his bedside table next to him at night.
It makes me laugh every time I go to night.
Mounts his phone on it to charge every night. Bloody hell. We've got a project coming up that we have to travel interstate for. Not allowed to say where it is or what it's about, but we'll talk through the process of that. So traveling interstate with camera gear on planes or long distances in cars and stuff can be a little bit tricky, depending on how far the distance is, especially if you're flying on air travel. You have to keep all your batteries under 100 watts. You have to keep all your batteries on your carry-on. So it's very funny walking through customs and opening your bag and there's 1,000 batteries in it. It's hilarious every time.
I have a story about that after.
Every time. I've even told them when I get there, I was like, hey, mate, I've got batteries. You might as well check it now. And they're like, no, that's fine. They put it through and I get staff to stand there for 20 minutes getting checked. It's so annoying.
Exactly.
But we use Pelican crates. Luckily with Qantas, you get about 30 kilos in one box now, which 30 kilos of camera gear for a running gun shoot is pretty easy to manage. Though you are restricted to like one bag, so your tripods have to be smaller, your gear has to be packed down, only take what you need, so a lot of logistics work involved. But Lockie, tell me about your battery story.
Yeah, so I was traveling to a couple states, capital cities for a gig, and it was just like a small carry-on and checked luggage, which also was just like all gear, and then my carry-on had some clothes, and then just all the batteries and stuff, and the gimbal. And every single state I had to get the gimbal out and basically set it up to, like, they didn't understand what it was. I was like, it's a gimbal, and they're like, what's that? And I'm like, it's for cameras. And because it's this big lithium battery.
Big metal thing.
And I'd put it out, set it up, and they'd be like, oh, like they kind of understood it, but they could see it wasn't a bomb. And just like everything, and like I was like, in terms of the chain of command, I was like I was just this like little camera dude who everyone had to wait for every time because I had all the gear in my bag. Whereas I was like traveling with a band, and they were just like, oh my god, hurry up, dude! I had to like go through all my batteries, just all this camera gear.
Yeah, it can be annoying sometimes. Like if we have to travel interstate and we know that we're like in the cities, it's sometimes just easier to hire the equipment and just pick it up when you get down there. Get it delivered to your site.
In America, they have some sort of thing where you can get it pre-checked. Do we have that here?
Yeah, international travel.
Yeah.
I think you can because it's like they're a lot more strict on international travel with batteries, especially. But domestically, I don't think so.
Yeah. At least it's not like it could be worse, I guess. Like with.
Yeah, it's not annoying. It's just more so like you tell them. Like you know you're going to get checked. You tell them, and then they go and check you again, and you got to like say it all over again. I wish you could just have a sticker that says like this is full of batteries or something. Like
that's interesting that you have to have it all in carry on because batteries can be quite weighty, and you don't get a lot of weight. You probably get like 8 kilos maximum.
Yeah, I was 100% over the other day. I had like 22 kilos in my carry on.
And do we know why they need them in carry on? Is it a case of like a fire?
In case they have a fire, they can put it out.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, if it's in the undercarriage and catches fire, you can't put it out, and then
you're going down.
We're the tower. Leave that out, please. You can't have. They're classed dangerous goods because they are or can be combustible.
Yeah.
So you can't have them in the undercarriage.
Got to keep it with your lighters in the carry-on. Keep them together.
Yeah, I keep them with my lighters and box openers.
With all my scissors. God. But even like I know like they pulled me up for like gaff tape once. Like I had gaff tape in my carry-on because like it was just in there. They're like, what are you doing with this?
Right.
Like why have you got duct tape and gaff tape in your bag? I'm like, well, I'm filming. Like
I'm a gaffer.
Yeah, I'm
What's a
literally
gaffer?
grip. Yeah. Fun fact: gaff tape come from the film industry because there's the gaffers. They're the ones that tape everything down and set everything up. And it's really easy tape to work with.
It's quite nicely.
Yeah, lighting is 50% secured, 50% just tape.
Just for marking arrows on the
We've even got
on the
tape.
desk on the floor.
I love using tape to mark stuff.
We love tape.
He doesn't like it when I move away from my mark.
Yeah, that's right.
We're a paperless office because we're trying to mitigate all the tape that we use.
Yeah, got to bring that footprint down.
We should find a way to recycle it.
I think it is. It's cloth. Yeah. It is recyclable.
Get like a sheet and just.
It is recyclable tape. It's pretty cool though. Gaff tape's very handy. It's extremely sticky and extremely pliable.
The cloth. Yeah, and then you can get into like heat-resistant tape, and then the matte tape so it doesn't reflect anything on set.
Green screen tape for keying stuff out.
Yeah,
taping out lights.
Pink tape for showing cables and hazards. There's lots of
hazard tape.
Certain coloured tape for the type of film that you're using. So they use like a blue for tungsten, and I think they use yellow for daylight.
Well, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
That's cool.
Anyway, we love tape. We have a whole box of tape. It's very nice.
Probably get some more tape, actually.
We should get some more tape.
I really want the fluoro tape.
And more batteries.
Fluoro. It's like $30 a thing.
Roll.
Yeah, 30.
So ridiculous.
It's like that thick.
So ridiculous.
Cool.
On the Bench episode 2. Completed. Yay, everybody. Yay. Woo.
See you again in a month.
See you again when Lockie decides to put this apparatus back up again.
Yeah.
Took him a week to set this one up. So
it's a weekender. It's a weekender job.
Cool.
All
Well
right.
done.
Bye.